Greetings, everyone, from Bridgewater College. I'm Ellen Miller, and I'm in the alumni office here at BC. And today I have with me the 2018 Young Alumnus Award Recipient, James Mahoney. James is from the class of 2003. So let me tell you a little bit about the award. Since 1980, the Alumni Association of BC has given the Young Alumnus Award to an exceptional alumnus or alumna who has attained outstanding vocational and professional achievements and exemplary accomplishments. These alums live out the spirit of service and show potential for future exceptional achievements and advancement. So welcome, James. We're really glad to have you here.
Great, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, so I have a few questions for you. And the first one is, why did you attend BC and what were you involved in when you were a student here?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm actually from about 30 minutes away. I'm from Waynesboro, Virginia, just right down the road there. So I know many people that have gone to Bridgewater and had nothing but great things to say about the education. I think one of the most attractive components of BC for me was really the small campus and just the real community atmosphere. You get the one-on-one teachings with professors and really just that one-on-one interaction, which is one of the main things that attracted me to Bridgewater.
Great, thank you. So what would you say is your best memory, and then what's the most important thing that you learned while you were here at BC?
Definitely. So, probably my best memory is just, the people, everyone that I met there, whether it was professors or friends, just kind of being able to forge those relationships during my time at Bridgewater that I carried on well past when I graduated. I think that's one of the most important things that I got out of my time at Bridgewater was really just a better understanding of how meaningful those relationships were. And how I carry them on, throughout my life. Those are the main things.
Nice. So right now, what is your career and what are your passions?
Sure, yeah. So I'm currently a clinical neuropsychologist, an assistant professor working at West Virginia University. I've been out here for about 4 years now. I did my fellowship training at the University of Virginia before coming out here, and I did my graduate education down at the University of Houston. So been out here at WVU for about 4 years. I've been involved a lot with clinical research. Our state here in West Virginia, I mean, the nation as a whole is facing a very large opioid epidemic, and really just an addiction epidemic in general. It's not, the opioid problem that our nation faces is obviously huge, but there's a lot of other substances, whether, methamphetamine is on the rise, and, you look at alcohol and other substances, that our nation is facing. It's just it's a really terrible time for addiction. So I've spent a majority of my time focused on different types of trials, different types of clinical trials to combat the addiction epidemic that we're facing. And a lot of this comes from some of my early work that I did at Bridgewater College in the behavioral neuroscience lab, where I worked doing preclinical work for nicotine, looking at the effects of nicotine on cognition and on sensory responses. And it's really grown from there. So that's currently what I'm involved in. I work with a variety of different patient populations. But addiction is the primary one I'm currently working with.
Wow, that's great. So when you received your Alumni Award, the Young Alumnus Award, what did that mean to you?
Well, it was a great honor. First off, I didn't necessarily expect it, and it was so surprising and certainly a good way. To be acknowledged by Bridgewater and by the folks down there is just something that I'm really indebted for, and so very appreciative to be recognized in that way. When you look back through the list of previous recipients and see all the great things that have been done by that group of folks, it's definitely it's quite a class to be in. So very proud and definitely honored.
So, last question, what advice would you give to our current BC students?
Yeah, so as far as advice goes, my number one thing would be to, as I mentioned earlier, forming those relationships that don't just end on the day that you graduate. Forge those relationships that'll go well on into your career. Get involved in as much as you can. Always just kind of strive to learn more. And I know that a lot of people say that, you should always try your hardest and all of that, but, I could speak through my own personal experiences that even if I was, partaking in an activity that I didn't think would have a lasting impression on me, a lot of times it did. So, always give it 100% and always become as involved as you possibly can in different activities.
Well, thank you so much, James. It's been great to get to know you a little better. And for all of our listeners, we would love for you to nominate people for this award, the Young Alumnus Award, or the Distinguished Alumnus, or the West White Low Humanitarian Award. So, go Eagles!